Hello everyone, I just wanted to make this quick video here because we've gotten a few new subscribers recently. Just make a little update. The Uncharted 4 review is coming. It's just taking me a little bit longer than what I originally anticipated. Some things came up and I've been a little bit busier than I expected, but it should be coming up before this next Friday, so sometime June, whatever, like 3rd. I was hoping to make this a short video, but at this point I'm not really sure it's going to be all that short. Well, I just wanted to share a couple quick things about Uncharted 4, and then also I've been playing the new Witcher DLC, Blood and Wine, and I would like to share some very quick first impressions on that as well, which I will be doing a video about that probably towards the end of June, or whenever I finish it, pretty much. So Uncharted 4, I mean, first of all, the intro sequence rivaled Uncharted 2's intro sequence. It had definitely a different mood, but it was very impressive, kind of, you know, gets you excited for what's to come in the game. And I gotta say, by far, Uncharted 4 is the best game in the series. Uncharted 2 was my second favorite. I think it was most people's favorite up until Uncharted 4, but I would say Uncharted 4 is even better than Uncharted 2. But both are fantastic games. Uncharted 4 excels at a bunch of things. I mean, here's just some of them, or the main ones that really stand out. I mean, there's amazing character development in it, both new and old characters as well. The gameplay is very improved. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's the same Uncharted." Well, yes, it does use kind of the same formula, but it feels a lot smoother, a lot more. I don't know, just like the gunplay is a lot more realistic. Just it feels like they've really fine-tuned, like, basically for the type of game Uncharted 4 is, and they've done as much as they can with it and made it as good as they can with the technology provided for them, in short. But also, it's got some of the best graphics on console. Maybe the only other game that I can think of that has better graphics than it on the PS4 is maybe the Order 1886. I know Order 1886 is definitely more cinematic, but Uncharted 4 like maintains that super high graphical fidelity even in the midst of gameplay. And it's got some of the like most impressive and detailed and very fluid animations of any game out there. Just some like the care and detail that they put into it is amazing. Like when you you know, jump on top of a guy, fall from him and attack him from a rope swing, and then he flicks his gun up or whatever, or when like Nate's, you know, walking through a cave and he puts his hand up against the wall, or the way he gets into the Jeep, or just like recovering from a fall, all that type of stuff. Just some amazing animations. And this is, you know, gameplay, and even in the cutscenes as well, like facial animations, really impressive. So yeah, and even outside of gameplay, it pretty much maintains that same cutscene quality. And the environments are incredibly detailed, and just there's so much detail packed into this game. But that being said, it's also the most open Uncharted game as well, and there's some of them that are literally, they're basically open world sections in the game. There's a few sections like that, and I mean, one of them that I have in mind in particular, I believe it's in Chapter 10, where you go to Madagascar. That's not really a spoiler, but the open world area there is pretty much big enough to withstand like its own game. Like you could have an entire, or at least an older open world game in that map within that one chapter. As I said, the story is also really good, and it has you guessing, and you're very surprised at times. So it hits a lot early. It makes some twists, but it's not really cliche twists most of the time. There were a lot of them that really caught me off guard. The beginning is really satisfying and exciting, and it really gets you pumped up for like what the rest of the game holds. So I remember playing through the beginning in this game. You know, this was like about 3 weeks ago now, because I beat the game in about a week, but I was just like, oh man, I couldn't stop playing. I just eventually had to, because I'm like, okay, it's getting way too late. I need to go to bed, you know. But it was very engaging, and it also hits all those major notes. It's got a satisfying beginning, middle, and end. And even Sam, one of the new characters, who's, you know, Nate's brother, Sam is actually a surprisingly good character, and you really, at first I was concerned that maybe you wouldn't get as attached to him as much as you do, but no, he is actually a very good character for the series, and there is emotional qualities behind him. It kind of, you're emotionally invested. And the game, that being said, I should also mention that this game goes for a little more of a serious, mature tone than the previous Uncharted. It still has all that light-hearted stuff in there that you love from the previous games, but it also goes for this very serious, almost like there's something deeper behind it. There's like a moral that you could like, not necessarily a moral, but there's something to be learned from this game. And I think I attribute a lot of that to the Last of Us 2 development, since a lot of those guys are on the, a lot of the Last of Us developers, they are working on this game. So Naughty Dog's really evolved as a developer and really matured. The ending was really satisfying too. I mean, just the story in Uncharted 4, the campaign, just everything. I mean, it hits everything right. It's at this point definitely Game of the Year. I have a feeling it will be Game of the Year at the end when it comes, and just an absolutely fabulous game. I have pretty much nothing bad to say about it, except for one, maybe two things, which I'll get to after talking about the multiplayer. But the multiplayer, in short, it's just actually really solid. It's I didn't play Uncharted 3 multiplayer, as I mentioned when I gave my impressions of the Uncharted 4 multiplayer beta, but I had played a lot of Uncharted 2 multiplayer, like probably 40-50 hours of it, and Uncharted 2's multiplayer was really solid, and this multiplayer I think even builds on that, and it's even better. Now that being said, this is my one criticism with this game, is that the multiplayer, there are like, I believe, 3 modes. And there's a team deathmatch mode, plunder mode where you like capture the statue, and then there's like a capture like the control points game mode. I can't remember, like a domination type mode. So it's kind of lacking on modes. There's only 3, but they put more modes. Not so much on the maps. It's not so much lacking on the maps, but if there was maybe at least 1 or 2 modes, which may be added in a multiplayer expansion. But hey, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I can say about it. Some people also say that there wasn't enough. I've heard people say that there wasn't enough set piece moments in this game. I think there was. I can definitely think of quite a few distributed. Sometimes it's a little more difficult for me to think about it versus like a game like Uncharted 2, which I believe I played Uncharted 2 about 3 times. But I think that's just because I've played more Uncharted 2. It might have slightly less set piece moments than Uncharted 2. But I think they definitely are still there, and Uncharted 4 excels and goes above what Uncharted 2 does in pretty much, if not every way. Uncharted has really, I think, gone out with a bang, and it has very satisfying closure. I mean, there's nothing, there's no reason for them to ever make another Uncharted game, and I mean, I think pretty much everybody will say that they had like no real unanswered questions. There wasn't any like, oh, well, that kind of is a cliffhanger. But no, like, this is very satisfying. There's satisfying closure. I would say even beyond satisfying, but it was just a very good story over these 4 games, and very well told, and very well wrapped up, and pushed off to sea. And they really took off the gloves on this game. So I just gotta commend Naughty Dog for them creating a fantastic game. So the review will be coming on Uncharted 4 pretty soon, but those are just some of my impressions. Like, that almost could serve as a really scrambled review on its own. But I just wanted to get those things out there. But yeah, definitely go pick it up if you're a fan of the series and you haven't already, or you're willing to pay $60 for a game that will last you, I mean, it's probably 12 to 15 hours. It took me 17 hours, but I kind of went for a lot of the treasures on that run. So if you're willing to basically put about 12 to 15 hours into a game, though, and pay $60 for it, I would almost recommend it just for the single player alone. But with that multiplayer component, it's definitely worth the 60 in my opinion. Now, real quickly about Witcher 3, I don't have much stuff to say about this because it's just first impressions. They just DLC released yesterday. However, I am about 8 to 10 hours into it at this point, and in Witcher 3 you go to the region of Toussaint to stop a serial killer on behalf of the Duchess there. So that's pretty much the premise of it. There might be more to it that unfolds, but at this moment that's basically the objective. That's the reason for coming there. And yeah, so it's very much, there's like kind of murder mystery. You're kind of like using a lot of detective work. So it's kind of some of the stuff that was in the main game, but it's got some of those like monster or hunting quests or contracts really like fleshed out into this full-fledged story. And the region of Toussaint is absolutely gorgeous. It is amazing, absolutely beautiful scenery, very bright and vibrant colors all around. There's also new and old characters alike. Some of them that you know, were apparently in one of the other games, but I hadn't played that. I actually recently just started playing the first Witcher game on the PC. But and there's also in Blood and Wine there are it's quite a few good boss fights very early on. Pretty much as soon as you arrive in Tucson, there's like 3 or 4 of them within like, well, I've done at least 4, maybe 5 within the amount of time that I've played, and I'm already swamped, almost swamped with quests, and I've only got quests from like 2 out of like the 8 or so notice boards that I think are in the region. But the region is very expansive, and it's so expansive that it could pretty much warrant a full game on its own. Not for the Witcher series, obviously, but for any other, you know, open world game series, yeah, it could basically warrant its own game. 2 other quick things to wrap up about it. They also introduced a new game mechanic in this. Not so much a game mechanic, but it's very much like Hearts of Stone. They introduced the ruins for your weapons. Well, this time they have where you can like customize the mutagens and whatever. I haven't gotten the opportunity to do that, but I know that's in there. So, you know, when I give my full opinions on, I'm going to do this late in June, it's going to be like just kind of a recap of my thoughts on The Witcher with all the DLC all together. Just my thoughts on the entire package. And I'll go into talk about these 2 DLCs a little bit more, but it's pretty satisfying. And at first, there has been a lot of updates made to the game, just the base game, you know, not due to the DLC, but just updates that they've made, and it changes a ton of the interface around. So it took me a while to kind of get used to it again. Some things I think they've improved with the interface. Some things I think they've, you know, maybe they should probably revert them. But for the most part, I think. More of the updates serve to help improve the game than to detract from the game and make it worse. So, anyways, that's it for this video, guys. It's a little bit longer than I thought. We look forward to you guys watching our upcoming content within the next month or so, and there's E3 coverage coming up as well. Definitely be doing that. So, stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.